I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, August the 16th. We kind of had a weather market on Tuesday with some big rains coming across the northern plains. We've had a lot of good moisture across a lot of the United States here in the past few weeks. It's unusual for an August, but tell you, things are good down here in the Texas Panhandle, western Oklahoma, New Mexico. Probably the most rain we've seen in a long time, and really beneficial, and things are looking great. People are getting excited about drying up enough to get their wheat in, so they think they can get an early up on it and get some calves turned out. In the midsection of the United States, things are looking good, and finally getting some rain up in the northern plains here in the last few days. And overnight, Monday night and Tuesday morning, had some big rains up there, and then it went down into the meat of the corn belt. And not sure if it's going to help the corn any, but it'll sure help the beans. And you saw the reflection of that in the futures market. Both corn and beans were down big, and it emboldened your feeder cattle market a bunch. Feeder futures were up big, and it even bled over into the live cattle futures, and both of those were kind of oversold anyway. But talked earlier in the market, earlier in the week, about the being into a down market, and I still believe we are, and I think we will be through the fall and probably through the rest of the year. But and I'm talking cash markets. You know, nobody can keep up with the futures, but you can't turn the cash market around on a dime. Give me 40 acres and I'll turn this thing around, and that's the way the cash market is. It took a lot to get the cash to going up like it did all through most of the summer there, and we just kept having pressure after pressure. And finally we got enough pressure that it turned your cash market sour the last couple of weeks here, and in your fat cattle, and even now on your big yearlings, even though there's still a lot of demand for them, and even light calves, and not a lot of them selling yet, but everything just lower, and it'll take a lot to get it stopped and turned back around again. But you look at the board, live cattle futures, October contract up 245 on Tuesday, ending the day at 109.05. Your August spot live contract was up $1 at 110.05, which is $4 or $5 basis to last week's established market, but we've already had some cattle sell that low, so it may not be much different what we end up with. Feeder cattle for August up 305. A lot of your other deferreds were up closer to $4 higher, ending the day with August at 144.95. Your corn futures, new crop December down 7 3/4 cents at 368.5. Beans, November down 14 cents at 924 1/4. Talking about your fat cattle trade, we've been having these weak sisters come in here on a Monday the last several weeks and just take the legs out from everybody trying to hold the market together. A lot of it's these guys in Iowa. They're the ones that are running a lot of these big yearlings up on other guys that are trying to buy feeder cattle, and they're the ones puking these fats on a Monday morning, just ruining it for everybody else trying to hold the market together. But around 4,800 head sold on Monday, direct basis, most all of them in Iowa. Live sales at $1.10. Granted, most of those are for 2 to 4 week delivery, but still, it ruins it for everybody else. Some dress trade in Iowa from 175 to 181. That's $3 to as much as $9 lower, and just really hard to work now to try to hold anything together, even though the board was up pretty good on a Tuesday. But you look at your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on Beef Market Central, based on an 800-pound steer, late Tuesday at 141.47, down $1.07 from Monday's close. So, and Monday's markets were pretty tough, so it's lower yet again, and just continue to bleed on this market position on fats and feeders. OKC West in El Reno, Oklahoma had their calf sale on Tuesday, around 1,200 head there. I called the market sharply lower, 3 to 5 lower at best, and $10 lower at worst, and it's just kind of that way, guys. Everything's just headed south. Ozarks Regional Stockyard in West Plains probably had one of the biggest sales around on a Tuesday, 3,100 head there. Randy Hoover and them always get big runs. Seems like it doesn't matter what time of year it is. They sold their cattle $2 to $6 lower. Dan Hill, the market reporter, did note that he thought with the board being up late there right before the close that it did keep it from going any lower yet. He thought it might get lower yet, but didn't slip any lower yet, so maybe the board did help a little bit in that case. Ozarks Regional is having a replacement cow sale this Friday evening at 6 o'clock p.m. If you're in that southern, mid-southern Missouri, northern Arkansas area, have a big cow sale there, and they get a lot of cattle. Look at a market that's here on Beef Market Central and Cattle Market Central now automated is Clarinda, Iowa. Good friends there, John Anderson, his partner Frank Hepker, get a lot of help from their auctioneer Russell Sleep, whose turn it is probably next June to win the World Champion Livestock Auctioneer Contest. But those guys are good guys. That crew was formerly at Maryville, Missouri, moved up there 3 years ago, and are really doing a lot of big things in Clarinda. They used to be just kind of a little local neighborhood sale barn, and now it's a regional powerhouse. But you look for them later on in the year and early next year, and they'll have some big runs and some impressive quotes coming out of Clarinda there. But you look on Tuesday at 10:23 on Tuesday morning, Clarinda sold 61 head of 858-pound steers at 142 1/4, getting quoted now. I'll tell you how tough it was for them to get quoted on here. As John called me about a week ago, said he was interested. We did a few things and tied into their automated clerk system, and we could have reported them if they'd have been on a Monday. But here on Tuesday and forever now, we can report their market automatically. You look at another market there up over west to the Sand Hills in Nebraska, Creighton Livestock Market. Creighton, Nebraska, 183 head of steers right before 1 o'clock in the afternoon. They weighed 959, bring a $1.52. That's your feeder flash for Wednesday.